You're a fence guy. You're a fence guy.
No, gate guys are completely different from fence.
No, I'm telling
So
you,
don't even.
it's the
don't even
same thing.
No.
You're doing gates. You're doing fence. You're in the fence industry, like it or not.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hey, are we? Oh shit, Isaac, what's going on, man?
Hey, good night, you guys. How are you doing?
That's just our normal morning banter back and forth before the day gets started.
Hey, you gotta have something to talk about.
So today we got Isaac. Isaac, we see you popping up everywhere, man. Your bid helper, your fence. Why doesn't it say your fence bid helper?
Well, that's part of my long-term vision for the company is to do more than fence. You know, we want to do plumbing and electrical and stuff, but I'm doing the fence portion. I'm the fence expert, so that's what I'm in charge of. So once we get a couple million in fence, then we'll reach out and get some experts in other industries, and
try to branch out. So if anybody doesn't know, your bid helper, is this a software? Is this you? I mean, I think I'm going to make you kind of say it because we know it's not a software. But what exactly is it? What exactly are you doing helping people on these bids?
Okay, so yeah, I do use Bluebeam, but basically it's all commercial industrial bids, jobs that have plans and specs. And so they send me the bid invite. I download the plans and specs and I review everything and I summarize it for them with a takeoff sheet and a material list. And that's basically the gist of it. And some people, I help them with the estimate and the proposal that they send to the customer. So we can do full service and we can send it to the customer as well. But there's like 4 main components: the plan review, the takeoff, the material list, the estimate, and the proposal. So that's basically, but I'm saving people time. That's basically what we do. So I'll take a job that I spent 8 hours on, and I'll send you a package that you can review in 30 minutes, and you can have a good understanding of the job and what's going on there. What plan sheet has what type of fencing, how many lineal feet, how many gates, what height, is it galvanized, is it black vinyl, all that stuff. So
nice. Yeah. Did I just read somewhere, and I'm pretty sure it was you? Did you just help someone win like $1 million job or something?
Yeah. It was actually Fence Fanatics from Fort Worth, Texas.
So which job was this again?
I'm pretty sure it was Fort Worth Unified School District. So it was a big contract. Yeah. So I've actually, I have some customers that actually sell the job first and then send me the work just for me to double check the stuff for them. And there's like, I just want to make sure I got everything right. And then I'll find something that they didn't find or something, and they'll be like, oh, well, I'm glad that was just a small section of fencing that I missed. So,
it's funny you said that because I've always been pushing for, and we're kind of working on it with some architects and stuff to when they're drawing these plans up. There should be, I mean, we got a door schedule, you've got all this other stuff, you've got architectural, you've got HVAC, mechanical, all that. I don't know why we don't have a fence section, because there's not a single project that is of any size that doesn't have fence. Fence is big, and sometimes they hide it in, sometimes it's in civil, sometimes it's in architecture, sometimes it's on the grading plan. I mean, you could miss something because it's in 3 different areas.
Yeah, you're right, and that's the thing about it that sometimes can be confusing. Is I'm looking at a project right now, and the one set of plans is showing one thing, and the other set of plans is showing something else. It's like, why are we having to go through 5 books of plans to, when the fence would be the same across all plans? It shouldn't be different. But that their focus is not on the fence. Their focus is on, the civil or whatever the plans are. So no, the architects are lazy. They do a pretty poor job for sure with the fencing, but it's our job to interpret it and to price it out and to win the work. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Well, we're working on it too over at FWA. I am working on getting a section for fence. And, I'm tired. Like everybody else, I'm tired of spending 3 hours digging through plans to find out it's just a dumpster gate. And the GC or somebody didn't tell you. Right?
Yeah,
because it wasn't on there.
And some companies are fine with the $10,000 dumpster gate. They want that job. But other companies are like, no, I'm not have zero interest in doing that.
Yeah, you like to know up front whether you're going to invest the time and paying someone to sit there and look through it. So you've been doing this since you were what, 12 months old or 12 years? I can't remember.
So my dad actually, he started Best Fence in Hesperia, California, which is still run actually by my sister today. But he started that, and so I've been building fence since then with him since I was 12 years old. But we did the majority is chain link, and it was all residential stuff for the most part. And man. But it was fun times. You know, my dad, me, and my twin brother, and my dad's buddy out on the fence line and having competitions. They're tying posts and we're hogging, and we're saying, who's gonna get done first? You know, we'd be doing 20 acres around out in Phelan, California, and just racing around the job.
Yeah.
Trying to get it done. So I
Well,
have a lot of good times building fence.
Building fence ages you quicker. I think it's like it's amazing because I know you started when you were 12. You're like 16 now, but you look like you're like 30. So it's it ages you fast, doesn't it?
It does. Well, I'm grateful that the last 15 years I've been doing estimate project management. So that actually started with Alcorn Fence in California. I worked there for 3 years, and they kind of showed me the ropes with estimating commercial projects and stuff. And then I worked for A1 Fence in Anaheim, California for the last 13 years. So
a couple good sized companies down there. Yeah, you picked a couple big ones for that area.
Yeah, it was a great learning environment. It was definitely a great thing. I worked on 100% commission at A1 Fence, so it was a tough job, When you have a $20,000 month, it's amazing. But when you have a $2,000 month, it's not so amazing.
That's funny. I think more people should. That's how I started out, San Diego Fence, when I was young, and it was 100% commission. You got paid once a month, and for everything you sold up to the 30th, and you got paid on like the 10th of the following month. So It was, and I back then, man, we were excited to have a $3,000-$4,000 month. But we hustled that last 5 days, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we had like at A1 Fence, we had a draw system, so all the money went into. You got a regular paycheck that was a certain amount, but all your commissions went into a bank. And if you wanted like extra $5,000, you just fill out a piece of paper and they pay you an extra $5,000 if the money's in the bank. But you had like a commission bank, so it worked out really well. But
that's nice. We had no draws, man. Just one check once a month, and it comes in your car with gas, and that's it, man. That's it. No cell phones back then, nothing. It was all Thomas Brothers Guide and gas. That's what you got for a month.
Oh man, I don't miss. Thanks
for coming on, man.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me, man. I don't miss using that Thomas Brothers Guide. That's for sure.
So we also got the myth, the man, the legend,
Michael Brooks.
Michael Brooks in the house.
I was gonna have to introduce myself.
I know. People were asking. I forgot he was here. But
thanks for joining us, gate guy.
Typical Wednesday.
So we have this. Ironically, we have this conversation quite often about this. It's like, hey, we talk about the Fence Workers Association and all this stuff. Should we have stuff? And then American Fence Association and Fence Workers Association, North American Fence Contract Association. We've got, on and on, right? Fence. And in my mind, I've always considered gates and fence the same. And maybe it's because we've always done the gates and the fence and automation controls. So we've never separated it at our company. But Brooks is like, man, no, it's hard to connect to the gate guys because they don't consider themselves fence guys. And that's what we kind of go back and forth on. What's your opinion on that? Why do you think that the industry should separate themselves out and have a fence and gate, and people should kind of consider themselves different?
Well, maybe I'm a little bit one-sided about that. Obviously, I don't do any. I bid fence, I sell fence, but I don't actually install any fence. All of it's subcontracted. So, my personal opinion is that it should be, and I think the market kind of shows that. Anytime that you have a fence company that builds manual gates, that installs fence, the second that they do automation, it's now so-and-so fence company and gates. Or they just have two different disciplines, so-and-so fence company and so-and-so gates. The fence company still installs manual gates, but as soon as they start automating those gates, they start to put the word gate in it. So I think that that's what everybody is actually doing. I think it should be separate, though, because it is completely two different disciplines, two different skill sets.
What do you think, Isaac?
Oh, I mean,
you're going to get dragged into this, like it or not, man. You're going to be an innocent bystander in this, no matter what.
I think most fence companies are going to do gates whether you like it or not. But I think like with the educating that you guys do and stuff, I think that's super important for the market. And people don't set the gates up correctly the way they're supposed to be set up. So the more education we get out there, the better off we're going to be. But I don't think you're ever going to get the fence companies to say, "Oh, we're not going to do the gates." Like that's probably not going to happen.
And I mean, it comes down to this, Brooks. I mean, I could tell you right now, if we went up and listened to some recordings of the phone calls that come in throughout the day, and you'll get people calling up saying, "Hey, I want to put a gate around my yard." or I want to put a fence on the side of my house. You know what I mean? It's not, there's no definition that defines the gates differently. Even at the building department, it's one permit. You know, you don't go and pull a permit for, for fence and gate separately. It's typically, but you're thinking about automatic gates.
That's true. That is true. I mean, you have fence companies that install manual gates, and they never mention that they're a fence and a gate company. Only the second that it's automated that they actually say fence and gates, or have a whole separate division, so and so gate company now. But that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
Whether they need to be separated or not, I absolutely think they do, just because they're two different disciplines, two different languages. And once you add that to your business, you're literally doubling the complication of the business, a whole new truck, a whole new service, and so on. So I do think that they need to be separate.
But maybe it's not a gate. Maybe it's not separate from fence. Maybe it's an automated gate division. Maybe it's automated gate industry or access controls, or maybe you're a security guy and that wants to be in the fence industry.
Well,
right?
Yeah,
that's what it is, right?
Well, I probably would consider myself more a access control guy than I would an actual fence guy. But my licensing in Texas is through the Private Security Bureau, so they consider us freaking alarm guys. So I guess it depends on what we're talking about. But I think just day-to-day basis, I think they just need to be separate. It's two different disciplines. It's two different languages. The service department and the install departments ran two different ways. And for fencing, you can have a service department, at least my experience in North Texas, that can get to a fence, a pedestrian gate, or a fence that's fallen over in a week. And a vehicle gate, you have to do the service almost immediately, or they're calling somebody else. So I think it needs to be separate just on the mechanical basis. But are you talking about from a trade association, or are you talking about?
Well, I mean, even trade association wise, I mean, I worry that our industry is already small enough, and if we decide we're going to start separating gates and automated gates and gates out from the fence industry side of it, then we just making it even smaller, right? And it means I'd like to see it all come together so that we have a stronger industry and a stronger group and a stronger organization with more of a voice and more of a pull. But hey, let's get back to this, and let's just circle back over real quick to that after we're done. But I want to see what we got.
What would Brian and Sean say?
One more time. Right. So Sean's not here, so we're going to be answering for Sean. So Vivi, by the way, we got Susan K. Worley in the background, so let's all give her an applaud for all the work she's doing in the back. So she's popping all this up, and she kind of made us bump over to this. So she pulls these questions up randomly from the Fence Industry Only group on Facebook, and looks like this first question's from VV. And I'll go ahead and read it, and then we'll decide who's going to answer this thing. What do we got? What do you guys do when people don't want to pay? Oh, I remember reading this thing. There was a lot of comments on this. What do you guys do when people don't want to pay their bills and just ignore you? If I remember correctly, I'll go in. He was actually talking about removing, do you go out there and remove the gates when they don't answer the phones? Do you do anything like that? What do you guys do? He does have it in his contract that the product remains property of the company until the full payment's received. I don't know if that's legal in a lot of states once it's already on the property. So I think you'd have to consult your attorney or something before you would actually be able to enforce that. And they consent and fully grant access to the property that you can basically repossess it if the bill is not paid. I'm pretty sure that you could grant somebody access to your property, and then you could probably take that permission away at any given moment.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think you're right about that.
I don't know how that would hold up, but I do know that I'm guilty of the very same thing. And if I remember back 15 years ago, I had one where, and it's always annoying because it was when you're doing you probably have this issue with residential more than you do on the commercial side, right? So I remember it was like this really nice house, and I was like when I was first starting out, and I did a nice fence around his property and a couple gates on the side of his house, and I'd go over there and you'd see someone rustling around inside the house, and then the lights would go out. And it was like this doctor or something. And I was kind of a wealthy guy that, a nice house in a nice part of town in Las Vegas. And it would just piss you off because he's avoiding you for that final payment. And you'd call, nothing. You'd stop by, nothing, and wouldn't come to the door. And I did one time, as soon as about 8, 9 o'clock, I sent the crews over to get the gates. No one's ever going to be able to figure out where this was, so I shouldn't get any trouble now. But it was so long back. But in any case, I did go get the gates, and I did get that phone call. It's the same phone call if anybody's ever done this. They're pissed off. the customer, because now they want to call you like, where are my gates? And I remember saying, look, sir, I didn't take your gates, but I happen to have a couple pairs of gates at the shop that would fit your opening perfectly. Right? And that's just horrible. I'd be willing to sell you really cheap, or if you get that bill paid, I'd go ahead and put those on for you complimentary if you want. You know, you were a good customer. And sure as crap, man, it works almost every time customer paid. I'm not telling everybody out there to go steal gates off people's houses. So don't take this. I'm just saying it worked for me.
Well, I can tell you from my history with my dad's company, we took people to court many times. But I can also tell you, I'm not building fence. I'm doing estimating. And sometimes I have people go weeks and weeks without paying me. And really, it's the persistence. I mean, once I'm calling them and emailing them every day, they usually get it paid pretty quickly. So I do have some amazing customers that pay me on time, and even a customer who's paid me up ahead of time, which is amazing. So I'm very grateful for all my customers and for their, payments. Obviously, I'm not doing this as a charity.
You do have a lot of lien rights though in every state, more than you probably are aware of. And as you get into commercial, you probably push your lien rights a little bit more. You make sure you get your lien notices out and things like that pretty quick. If you go to fwa.ai, by the way, and you put in what city you're at, it's real quick. You can go to lien, how to file a lien, and that'll actually help you put in the invoice number. All this will help you get your information on how to file a lien if you're not being paid. Obviously, you want to go the legal route, but I have a few phases. I call it phase 1, which is where we're real polite. We do the invoice. We do that. Phase 2 and phase 3. By the time you get to phase 3 with me, you're either paying me or you're probably going to hire a hitman. So
you don't want to take it to phase 3.
I typically get paid one way or another, but it's rough. Yeah. What about you? Have you had any people didn't pay you?
I've refused probably more payments than I've actually had to actually go collect, where I've actually just terminated people.
What do you mean by terminated? Let's circle back to that real quick.
Terminated them as a customer. I'm not digging holes out in the desert or anything. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to qualify to be my customer, and part of the qualification is you have to have the ability to pay and the willingness to pay. If at any point in the game I'm doing a kind of service or gig for you, that willingness to pay stops, we have a big problem. And I just as soon get rid of you for $250 and never have to deal with you or any of your friends or any of the leads that you give me, because they're going to turn out to be the same, and just call it a day at $250. I understand that fencing, when you do a fence project, they're not $250. You probably have minimum service calls that are 10 times that. But so that's been my experience. So no, I've never had to really hunt anybody down for the most part. And all my customers in North Texas, they've been really easy and willing to pay. I mean, I've had people that I've called up after months from an accidental invoice that I hadn't sent. They just send it right away.
Yeah. Yeah, and throughout the years, I think I've been fortunate. We've gotten paid from most of the people, but go fault. Make sure you do it. Obviously my official advice is do it the legal way.
Definitely file a lien for every job. We always do that, even for the good customers. You want to preserve your rights at all costs.
But if you're not filing your proper lien documents, pre-lien notices and all that stuff, and you later on can't get paid, it's kind of on you. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to do it, to send out the notice. And sometimes just that letter you send out that your intent to lien is enough to scare them, and they'll pay. So there's a lot of power in your intent to lien notices that you send out, which is just like a 10-day notice depending on where you're at. But so second question, Brooks, why don't you read this one?
We are running a Rhino PD 55 Pneumatic post pounder. We have a water separator and oiler. The pounder keeps freezing on us. Can we run some antifreeze through it to help with this issue, or do you think it'll damage it?
Sounds like you need a heater. I don't know. You got one of those heater wraps like they put on the gate operators, where you power it up, you keep the damn thing warm.
Oh, old school style. You remember that? Yeah. All the leads. They used to have a pad that you glued to it. Yeah, and it just ran a little bit of voltage, and it would heat it up. Oh yeah. So you had an installed gate operator.
Yeah. Find yourself a good employee that won't shut up and make him stand right next to it, so he's always just breathing on it.
So first of all, what is a Rhino PD 55 Pneumatic post pounder, and what's it used for?
Well, You want to cover this one, Isaac, or?
I don't know much about post pounders, so I'm not
Okay,
going to have a lot to say.
So I'm not sure the PD55, and it might even be the one one of the ones we got in the back, and they're just old as crap and you can't read them anymore. But this sounds like we have some rhinos. We have the gas powered and the pneumatic one, which this would be the one you'd actually go, I'm assuming, and hook up your compressor that you pull behind your vehicle, like that rhino we have that pounds the posts in. I've never heard of a water separator, and maybe that's because we're in Las Vegas, and I've always been in areas where you didn't need to separate water from it, but we do have the inline oiler. So I think this would have been a great question if Sean King would have been on, but he had something else he had to do today. So I think we should shelf this one. We're going to make we're actually going to pull this thing back up, and we're going to make Sean King come back and answer this one in a separate video, because I don't think I'm going to do justice to it. Kenny Michael Hazelwood.
Oh, there we go. Good.
You know who that is?
Oh, no, but
no,
I saw Gates. We haven't talked about Gates. It's just been stupid dumb, not so smart fence people. So anyways, gate operators, let's talk about that.
All right. For those of you,
I didn't mean to call that
here,
stupid, sorry.
This guy right here, those of you, if it wasn't coming from you, we'd be offended.
Right.
So those of you,
for those of you who do gate operators,
do you install and service access controls, or tell them to call someone else when it comes to the problems not being the operator itself? Something about access controls fascinates me, but I still have a very little to no knowledge about it, so really want to learn.
Awesome. YouTube. No, I'm just kidding. No. Can I take this one?
Take it. This is you, man.
All right. Thank you, Susan, for posting this. I appreciate this. It makes me so excited. It's made it all work. So for you guys who are doing gate operators and thinking about the access control part of it, in my personal opinion, is that the biggest opportunity right now in the electrical world is an access control. And it is not difficult to install. It's not difficult to service. And it's really, unless you have a really good scheduled service program, it's one of the things that you can reach out to in this world that gives you the ability to have a reoccurring monthly revenue stream. And I haven't seen it in fences done very well, and I haven't seen it in gate operators done very well. But buying a product that already has it built in, and that's the way access control is heading towards, I think it's the biggest opportunity that people are missing. And you do not need to be intimidated by it whatsoever. You are adding a new product to your business, so you are doubling the complexity. And with a few tools, which heck, if you're in, Nevada, I'll let you borrow the tools if you have any problem diagnosing or servicing this stuff, but just a few tools and you're good to go. So I think that this is the biggest opportunity that people are missing right now.
No, I agree. Well,
I
was talking to a manufacturer today about it. In fact, the revenue control for parking revenue control, they figured this stuff out a decade ago. And some of the manufacturers with some of the access controls started doing this. I mean, it's been going on for about 10 years with some of the recurring revenue you can get. Revenue control companies for parking, they'll actually let you share in some of it as well. So it's definitely a missed opportunity. What do you think, Isaac?
I mean, I think, like he says, if you're going to be installing them, they're going to be calling you when there's a problem, and you got to just learn what is required. I mean, I've installed gate operators and had to come back a year later, and the circuit board had a problem. We had to take the circuit board to the factory. I mean, of course, the customer's not happy that their gate's down, but I mean, we had to have the circuit board rebuilt and then go back out there. I mean, obviously, I'm going to charge them for my time. I mean, I'm not doing this for free. Nobody is, but if you're going to install them, you got to learn to work on them. So I mean, troubleshooting and going through checklists and figuring out, hey, it's not this, it's not this, it's not that. Getting on the phone with the manufacturer rep and walking through everything, and that's a part of the process. You're getting paid to do it because the customer doesn't want to deal with it. So I mean, take it, and it's a blessing for you. I have had gates that I've gone to that I couldn't figure out as well, and it's not a fun process. We want to be able to fix everything, but sometimes things are beyond your controls. So I mean, that's just part of the game. And I'm not the most experienced. I've probably installed, 40, 50 operators, but I'm not like the most experienced person out there. But it's like everything that I know has been from experience and from going and calling the techs and troubleshooting things. And, like having a gate safety checklist is also like a really good idea, that if you're doing maintenance, you can also tell them, hey, look, we checked this and this photo beam's not working, or you don't have a photo beam on the rear of the gate, where somebody could easily, be in the entrapment zone. And well, what's an entrapment zone? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you about it, because, if somebody's sitting there smoking a cigarette and, just they think they're having a good old day and they're not paying attention, and somebody else is opening that gate, it might open right into that other person. And you might have $100,000 or more lawsuit on your hands when you could have had a $200 photo beam that would have helped you, or put some fencing up, like whatever the case may be. But it's like, this is stuff that our industry needs to know about. If you're doing it, all it's going to do is it's going to make people see how professional your company is. And they're going to say, oh, wow, I never thought about that. Nobody ever mentioned that. And then it's like, okay, now you're being responsible, you're making money, and you look good. Like, there's no downside to that.
Yeah. And the recurring revenue is more, I mean, obviously if you're warranting something, the parts could be under warranty. It doesn't mean you have to warranty the labor. So you got, when you're writing your warranties, make sure you word it correctly, because just because an operator or a part is under warranty doesn't mean you have to go install that warranted part for free. So definitely, put that verbiage correctly so that people understand that you're just covering the parts, and the manufacturer's covering the parts. But we are also talking about recurring revenue on things like telephone entry systems, where they've got monthly fees for the cellular service and for the connectivity to the units. So I was talking to somebody today about it, and I'm like, hey, you're missing out. You could be in an area where you shut down for 3-4 months out of the year because of bad weather, snow, things like that. And if you install enough of these things through the summer and get these things in place, you might have some revenue coming in, even while you're not even out doing anything in the wintertime. Something breaks or something goes down, you could be out there making money in the wintertime that you'd have to normally go find something else to do. But yeah, so we are getting people still wanting to know about who was that? I just saw something up here. Look at this. Let's go back to Rick real quick. Rick, and is that Jeannie? Did I say that right?
I don't know. I've only talked to Rick. I haven't asked him how to pronounce his wife's name, but that sounds right.
Yeah. You know Rick?
Yes. Yeah, we talked before.
What does he say? I don't know why they would be unified in the first place. How does automation relate to fence post holes? That's my point exactly. That's automation. So we're talking about gates, though. How does gate relate to fence? So you're not really a gate guy. You're an automation guy.
Oh, I just listened to the first part of it. I'm really not paying attention.
So I 100% agree. Automation shouldn't be part of fence, but gates are part of fence. If you're a gate guy, you're a fence guy. And if you, it just is what it is. I want you part of our industry.
But do I not have a valid point in saying that as soon as people go into the automation, that they'll add gate to their actual name? So and so fence company, and then they start doing the automation, they'll put and gate. The automation is what defines whether you're a gate company or not.
Well, I think there's I know a lot of subcontractors that just do gate operators and access control and have made a small fortune at it. And I mean, when you get to a certain level and you have like 24-hour techs that are rotating and stuff like that, that's great for the industry. Because there's no fence companies that are going to have some 24-hour tech going out like that. I know automation control companies that have 24-hour techs and they have support, and it's like that there's nothing bad about that. I think that's a great benefit to our industry. And like you said, they're part of the fence industry, whether they like it or not.
You can't get out of our industry. You're in it. So is there an advantage to separating them, though? The gate, because I consider a gate the same as fence, obviously, but I do fence. My crews install the fence. Typically throughout the years, we've manufactured, installed the gates, and we install the gate operators and the access controls. So we'll do the whole thing right down to saw cutting, pouring the concrete. So for, right?
Yeah.
And it is what, literally, but we have all the saws, all the tools and stuff. So, and maybe that's why I've always considered it the same. But if we're going to sub anything out, we would sub out the access control side of it, and we'd have somebody come in and just hook up the gate operators.
But I knew I just recently found out that you actually worked in the Southern California market, and now primarily for the last decade, you've been in the Las Vegas metropolitan area. And I think that market here in Southern Nevada is unique, very, very unique. So I think you have a different perspective than a lot of people.
Well, yeah. I got to say one thing about, like, from a bidding standpoint, nobody's including usually safeties in the automation. So many times in the bid, you might have to bid like, hey, this is for the fence and the gate, but this is for the safety upgrades for the 2x2 mesh and the additional safety devices that you need, because if you just include all that stuff, you're just not going to get the job because nobody else is including it. And that's the thing that you have to struggle with when actually trying to be competitive and trying to win the job. So, I mean, you can separate all the safety stuff and say, hey, these are the upgrades that are recommended per UL 325, you know, the mesh on the gate, on the sliding gates and that kind of thing. Because if there's no way you're going to include it and somebody else doesn't include it, that's $15,000 potentially. You're just going to lose out on the job. So you have to separate that on your bid. I mean, you can tell them, hey, look, we have a waiver you can sign. If you choose not to do this stuff, you can sign our waiver and, you know, we'll be just like the other guy and install it without looking. But I mean, those safety upgrades are more than worth it.
Yeah, I don't know about the waiver. I don't think that holds up either. Here it wouldn't. I mean, we get ran through the ringer here, man. We are the most highly regulated state, I think, in the country. If you get right down to it. Nevada. Oh yeah, California doesn't have anything on us. Nothing. I don't think there's another state that has anything on us that comes down to when it comes down to gate related rules, laws, and regulations. No, nobody that I can think of. We were probably the first one to have UL even be talking on the state level and becoming laws. So we're just overregulated when it comes down to it. But so we wouldn't get away with a waiver. It just wouldn't hold up because you can't, you know, it wouldn't hold up here. But I don't know if people do that. I'd like to get some people's opinions on that waiver if that would even hold. I'd have to talk to an attorney probably to. Oh yeah, to know.
I have
most of the time people would pay anyways, just pay to upgrade because it's you're not talking about a lot of money anyways.
If you're waiving beyond the standard, the so-called standard, that's one thing. But if you're waiving up to a certain point, what the manufacturer suggests, I don't think you can waive your responsibilities. Yeah. So the customer can't waive, you know, what your responsibility is to do. That would just be like saying, hey, I'm going to shoot this guy on your property. Why don't you waive my liability for me shooting this guy? But I think that's a lawyer question.
Yeah, you have to get an attorney to be sure. But I wouldn't try it here.
Well, I never actually saw the waiver, but that's just what we told the customers. So
so what let's define fence and gates then. I guess, you know, here we have one permit that you actually go down. There's not a separate permit if you have a gate and a fence. It's a fence permit. It falls under fence. Even walls fall under fence. We have one permit. In fact, I got a meeting in Nevada. So I have a meeting tomorrow with the Clark County Building Department at 1 p.m. with the building official, where I'm always working on this stuff. And we're trying to create a separate permit application form for just fencing, and that fencing will include gates because right now it includes walls, which creates a big nightmare for us with footing inspections and things like that, because everything's defaulted to engineering and footing inspections because it's the system automatically flags it like it's a wall. So and if you go under the definitions, and I spent a lot of time, I was a member of the Southern Nevada International Building Council and things like that here locally. So I spent a lot of time reading definitions and things on this. There isn't a separate one for gate. Well, and it's, you know, when it's certain things are exempt up to 7 feet, it includes gates.
Maybe Jeff can back me up on this, because I think Jeff and I actually have some of the same market. I think your last name's Sorensen, right? But Jeff, I mean, pretty much in North Texas, I mean, Dallas, Irving, Plano, if you're blocking a fire lane, it doesn't matter what the fence, there could be no fence. If you block a fire lane, if it's fire striped behind it, and there's not a fire hydrant within a certain distance, you're going to have a separate gate permit and a separate inspection. So if anybody's in North Texas, maybe they could back me up on it, but that's the way it is in Texas. If you want a fence permit for your single family residential, you'll go down to the city, get your fence permit. And if you're putting an automatic gate in there, and let's say Dallas, Highland Park, University Park, you don't need a permit for that. Some other cities fence will have that in there, but regardless, if you're putting a gate and you're blocking that fire lane in a commercial project, doesn't matter whether you have fence, anything around it, they're going to anticipate you having drawings showing where the fire hydrant is, showing what equipment that you're going to be using for manual and electronic egress. And that's the way it is in North Texas.
I'm pretty sure that would be an automatic gate application permit, though, and it would specify automatic gate.
Oh, did I get the question confused? Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. So so that kind of defines
But-
my thing again. It's automation controls or it's access controls. So, but yeah, and if that was, it would be you'd still have if you were pulling manual stuff, it would fall under fence.
So if it were manual, it would be under gate. And so it also depends municipality, and maybe Jeff can back me up. In the city of Dallas, if you're blocking the fire lane with a manual gate, there is no way you can do that without automation. So all gates that are blocking a fire lane have to have automation. However, I have seen some special exceptions, which is what they would call it in the city of Dallas, where you can any gate or fire requires permit, even manual. And am I correct, Jeff, in saying that a manual gate, you can't have a manual gate in the city of Dallas? You actually have to automate it. But regardless, they'll require you to have a Knox lock, and it'll be a separate. The manual gate will be a separate permit from the fence.
Is there licensing for that would be required to pull that permit?
So I've only been asked for my license in Texas one time. So in Texas, there is through the Private Security Bureau, there is licensing for access control and gate automation. The gate automation has a special exception, which when they tried to pass this, there was a big deal about it. In the gate automation part is if it is not monitored, if the device is not monitored. Now, does that mean have the capability to be monitored or whatever? But at this stage, pretty much every gate that you're actually putting out there, they are all have the capability of being monitored via Wi-Fi. You get notifications that the gate's open and so on. So in my opinion, all gates have to have you have to be licensed in order to sell.
But they don't have separate license. I mean, out here we got separate licenses for fencing. It has its own. We got 2 different trade licenses for fencing. So
that's crazy.
Obviously we have like 30 different trade licenses. So you're licensed to just do fencing, and you got to stay within your scope.
Yeah,
so,
the majority of my permit experience has been in the SoCal area, but every single city and municipality is so different in what their requirements are, and some of them it's just a money grab. It's not there to have zero interest in how you're building the fence and what the fence is looking like. They just want their 2,500 or whatever the case, $5,000 or $7,000 or whatever it is. And there's no consistency across the different cities and county municipalities. But I've never been asked to get separate ones. I have had to hire an architect for the city of San Bernardino, and we had to have electrical engineering, and we had to actually have the city had to look at it, and the fire department had to look at it as well. But there's no consistency as far as some of them will take like a hand sketch drawing that you could do literally right there in the city hall. They give you graph paper, and other ones they want you to hire an architect. So permits it's an unknown factor. So if you don't know what you're doing, it's the best case scenario is to exclude the permit, and then it gives you time to figure out what is the city requirement, what's going on as far as that. Yeah. But some of the commercial jobs, they've already gone through plan review, so the permit might already be approved. As far as the stuff that they'd already have that design and approved by the fire department or whatever the case may be. So
you're looking at 6 months to a year if you want to get a permit for an automatic gate here. And you're hiring an architect and an engineer, especially if the fence is if the gate's over 6 feet tall. If it's a swing gate at all in North Las Vegas, you're hiring an engineer, and you're probably doing a 5 foot deep footing by 3 foot wide, and for the posts, 6-inch posts. But you're looking at and same thing. We'd have zoning. Most likely, we'd have Public Works look at it, and they might make you do a traffic study. And you'll have to do a traffic study. If you have to do anything with gates that have any near a parking spot, you might have to do a parking study. And that's all you have to do. And Public Works will take a look at it and make sure you're okay and you're set back far enough for Public Works. And then you'll submit it to the building department. Zoning will take a look, building will take a look, and then you'll submit a separate application to the fire department. And if anything goes between the two contradict, then you got to go back and revise all the plans and go through all those windows again. Fire looks at it last, and fire makes you make one change. You're starting the whole process over again.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The last 5 projects I looked at in Florida, they're requiring structural calculations for the fence post footings. And it's like the fence is not a structural item. I don't know why they put that in there. It's not usually considered a structural item, but I mean, it's hard to price that out because it's an unknown factor, in the bid. I always am I always recommend allowances. You have an allowance for the structural calculation, an allowance for the additional upgrades required, whether it's labor and material for the structural calculations, because all you can do is bid it per their plan and tell them, hey, these are the two allowances. That one's going to cover the cost of the calculation, and one's going to cover the additional materials and labor required for the calculation. And that's the only way you can price it out, because there's no way to price it correctly if they fail to give you the correct information. I mean, it's just impossible.
Yeah.
So,
if you have to bid it before engineering calcs, I always put in there, this is how we normally do it. And it says it right in there, bid may change based off engineering calculations on it. So, yeah. So again, though, so you don't have a separate licensing in Texas that you have to get. There's not a fence license. Is that what it is? There's just one license for everybody that builds fence or build homes?
No, there is no licensing that I'm aware of for fence, which in my opinion is the best way to do it, and for gate automation as well too, which is all the normal stuff that's in place to start a business, incorporating sole proprietorship, a limited liability company, and so on, and then getting a DBA in all the cities that you do work in, getting your farm permits and all that stuff. That is, you're now a fence company, a hammer and a truck and some nails, and you're good to go. So, hey, real quick, Isaac, when you say allowances, are you using that term because the paperwork means I can go up to $5,000 for these permits, but anything after that? Or you're just saying that based on past performance allowances, it's going to cost $5,000 for this permit?
So, I mean, as far as the cost of the structural calculation, like I would have that up front, it's going to be 500 or 1,000 a piece, however many calculations you have. So that should be like pretty fixed cost as far as that's concerned. But as far as the material upgrades and stuff, I usually recommend like a good amount, like $100,000 allowance or whatever, depending on the side of the job. But this is like an amount that you could be reimbursed from based on the results of the calculations. So, and
it's typically just one calculation. It's going to be one half of the gate showing one half of the leaf. If it's a swing gate, it'll show that half of the gate, leaf hanging off of it with the post. So on an automatic gate, I would assume it's really not a lot of engineering.
Gotcha.
Well, sometimes they want the post footings as well. Sometimes they want that.
That's what I mean. The post footings with that one half the leaf of the gate hanging off of it. And that's what they're doing their calculations. And they're figuring, a 300-pound man on the end of it with a.
Thanks. I appreciate that. All right. You had to look at me when you said 300 pounds.
So it's different in every state. And maybe that's why you guys come from, of course, I consider anything Texas on over the East Coast. But you guys come from the East Coast over
East Coast. We're in the heart of America.
I know, right?
I'm in Nashville now.
Everything on the other side of Arizona is the East. Yeah.
Isaac, do you have the ability to do what you do for fences for guys that are in my business and automatic gate and access control? Do you have any service for that?
I haven't really gotten any customers that have required anything from me regarding that. No, but I mean,
you're not doing anything, right? I mean, what is that? You got to figure out. Hey, you got to tell them how much they're going to cost you to put 4 bolts in the ground to drill 4 holes and bolt it down, right? Is that what you want to know?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to know?
We're going to have a conversation afterwards about that. But yeah, I mean, no, I mean, because for instance, you used the term takeoffs when I first got here, and all I've ever said is architecture and engineering plans, and that's what I want to look at. And takeoffs is like a different language to me, realizing that this, maybe it's just terminology or whatever. So having somebody that has the expertise like you, Isaac, I mean, is that something that I was just curious, is that something that service that you provide? Because sometimes when we look at those plans, I mean, it is just hard to decipher just how many openings that they have, and then how many of those openings that they actually want automated. And then you get inside the building, and then it's like, hold on, I mean, you're counting doors you don't want to miss. You'd miss 2 or 3 doors. The next thing you know, there's $5,000 out of your pocket.
Yeah, well, I don't have that much experience with the access controls. Like, I'm a fence guy, so we don't do doors.
Well, I tease him that all he's doing is putting 4 bolts down. But there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to bidding a gate operator project. I mean, it takes a lot more in-depth knowledge to figure one of those than it does for us to figure 1,000 feet of chain link around a building. So, I mean, you miss one thing and you just left out, thousands and thousands of dollars. So, it's tough.
Yeah, I've done many jobs where we've included the operator and excluded the access controls. So we're just doing the operator, and the other stuff is being handled by other people. Because if sometimes they have somebody doing the building and they want to have one person responsible for the whole entire job. So and it's like, well, we're not doing the building, so we're not going to do the gate, keypad either, because that there's always looking for finger pointers. And so it's like, this is going to have one company to look at when there's a problem, not two different people pointing fingers at each other.
And there's a reason, man, you got to charge good for these gate operators, because it's a lot of liability. You're getting, a lot of liability thrown on you, not just legal liability, but if anything goes wrong at all, if the gate wheels are malfunctioning, if anything's going, if the phone line coming in, if there's a power issue that has nothing to do with you from the lines, somebody cuts one of the lines that's doing landscaping out there or something, anything goes wrong at all, the access control guy, because the gate's not working, is the first one that gets called. So it's a lot of pressure. And if there's, you don't have fence emergencies. Typically someone can run through a fence. You could throw a temporary fence panel across it, and it's fine till Monday, right? If you're doing gate operators, then here's what Susan said. It sounds like Brian and Isaac want to separate the industry now. Oh man. Take away. I don't know what she shouldn't be typing that in there. But yeah, you know what I mean. So everything's an emergency now, especially with all the safety equipment, where if something goes wrong, it's the gate's stuck open or stuck closed. It's not like it used to be where you could just go and disconnect stuff and it would still work till Monday. You could go, I'm going to put that photo eye back on Monday. You got to fix it now.
Oh, and
people are trapped in that apartment complex, right?
Well, I think the only reason that it needs to be separated really is because most fence companies don't have the staff and the knowledge to really know access control the way that they need to. Yeah, there's some big players that do have people on staff that have that things, but I would say 90% of fence companies, and maybe even more, don't have that ability and don't have that knowledge. So it's like, you don't want to be doing something that you don't understand or that you're confused about, because it's so much easier to hire somebody who's an expert, who knows, who's been doing it for their whole life. It's a no-brainer that, sometimes a lot of fence companies should be subcontracting that work out to somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. It's tough to find. I don't know what he's laughing at. What's Rob laughing at?
What's he saying? He knows the gate guys are the smartest.
The smart guys. Yeah. We start calling them smart guys now. But again, we're going back to, should we separate these things out? Not that we have a choice. People are going to separate them. We're not the ones that decide whether it gets separated out or not. But do we think collaboration between the two increases market opportunities for everybody? Is it worth trying to bring everybody together and saying, hey, why are we separating it? Is there an advantage to separating it? Is it really beneficial to the industry, or both, one industry or the other? Or do people just don't, or do gate operator guys, I call them gate operator guys, not just gate guys, but do gate operator guys, do they think of it like an insult to be called a fence guy? Is that what it is? Why do they not want to be fence people?
I'd say it goes fence guys, gate guys, and then access control guys. So I don't do any of the fence stuff. I just do the gate stuff. I think that's one of the things that I recommend to a lot of people that are getting in, or they think they want to get into automation. At the beginning of it, find some strategic partners that do know what they're doing and develop that relationship. Get your 10% out of the job and work on developing those programs for the access control stuff and generate a reoccurring monthly revenue system in your business. They're paying enough to monitor those doors throughout the property to where you can have somebody at full retail go out there and do a warranty or service call and still be profitable. But that's my opinion for anybody that's trying to get into it.
But I have that opinion towards a lot of things. Even if you're a company and you would have bid on a temporary fence that's 10,000 feet and you don't have $200,000, you don't want to buy a bunch of panels. You can get a quote from an American Fence, a National Rent-A-Fence, for $3-4 a foot, and you can add a few $1,000s and you can do the job, and you don't have to spend $200,000 buying panels and worrying about that. And let them do the job. And why can't you subcontract it? There's no reason why you can't.
This is a good conversation.
The only person
I didn't start a fence company to go pay someone else to build the fence. So
the thing of it is, if you want to invest $200,000 on temporary panels, that's great. If you have the money, go ahead and do it. But not everybody has the money and the capabilities. And at the end of the day, the contractor just wants it done. So they don't care that if they're not going to say, oh, well, that doesn't have your fence company's name on the truck. Like they don't care about that.
Yeah.
You know, all they
but I'm
want
talking about, I'll do gate operator guys that just do gate operators that don't want anything to do with the fence. I mean, obviously, is it just because they don't want to dig the holes? They don't want to have to do the mix the concrete and dig the holes, or what's the reason they don't want to? I mean, there's got to be something that's makes some of the. I mean, I get it. They got the expertise and the knowledge to install gate operators, but is there something that that just makes them say, "Hey, I'm not a fence guy"? Is it? Do they get that kind of attitude towards? I'm not a fence guy. I'm a gate operator guy. I come in after.
I think of it, a lot of it's just mechanical. I mean, that's what I do. I just install the gate operator. So when you get the gates done, when you get your electrical and you get your low voltage done, then I'll come in and install the gate operators. And as far as digging holes and doing concrete, that's absolutely the case. I do on my service truck in Texas carry post hole diggers, and I carry.
They're probably nice and shiny right now, still, right? They still got that nice blue paint on them.
Yeah,
is that what it is, huh?
That's I went to one of you fence guys and I said, "What's the best post hole diggers?"
3 years later, they got that nice shiny blue paint still on them.
Yeah,
all right.
That's when you. That's when I'll tell you my dad's favorite joke when he says, "I got a PhD." They're right over there on the truck, you know.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, we don't like digging holes, and I mix a bucket of concrete at a time, and that's it. But I just don't. I think it's just the mechanics of it that we just think of it just separate because it's a different discipline. We do have to set stands for pedestals for our access controls, for keypads, for fire ingress. We do have to weld. We do have to dig. We have to trench. Low voltage from one gate operator to the other. We have to be there before concrete pads for the driveway gets poured. We have to do all of that stuff.
You mean you have to be there to help lay it out?
No, well, lay it out. But for instance, if you're doing preform loops, or I highly recommend anytime you're doing a gate track or you're doing a primary, secondary operator, you need to be putting in a 1-inch sleeve from one side to the other for each one of those controls that you have, and those types of things. And we're doing that stuff. But am I trenching 500 feet, or am I digging 500 posts at a time? Just no, that's just not.
So you prefer to come in after the gate guy's done building the gate?
I prefer to find a strategic partner that bids the automation for it and handles the primary liability part of it. My insurance is accountable for me. His insurance is accountable for the project, and partner up with that, because I get paid depending upon the pricing structure that I have, which there's several factors: how quick I get paid, how much I have to communicate with the customer, who's supplying parts, and so on. I can get paid quicker if they handle all of that stuff. And a lot of contractors in Texas like just dealing with one person for the fence, access control, and gate operators on smaller projects. I think Isaac might have mentioned this before. When you're dealing with like 500 doors, it's not something that the contractor is going to go, okay, let's get the gate guy to do the 500 doors. It's generally the opposite. They just want the access control and the IT, and a lot of it is going IT company to handle all of that stuff, and then you subcontract whatever gate operator guy you want.
So you prefer, again, to come in after the gate guy's done building the gate?
Well, yeah, he has to, right?
Oh, so
I'm going to install the gate operator before it's there?
Okay, so you're not the gate guy. Is that what you're saying? The gate guy builds the gate, and then you come in after him?
But do you ever have the case?
We'll move past that one, Brooks.
Do you ever have the case when you go to put an operator on a gate and you have an 8 or 10-inch gap under the gate, and you say, I can't put an operator on that? Does that ever happen to you, or do you just put it up?
You wouldn't believe the stuff that I've seen in Nevada since I've been here.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of crazy stuff that goes on.
But we're the most, like I told you, we're the most highly, and he'll contest to this. You have to come here to fully understand how over. You'd have to come here for a little while to understand how over-regulated we are in the gate industry for when it comes to automatic gates and fence and stuff in this state. And if you ever came to visit, we would drive around the entire day and not find a single gate that was UL 325 and ASTM F2200 compliant. Not one. We could drive around the entire. Have you seen one yet?
No, absolutely not. And I have been on billion-dollar projects that have had thousands of inspections. Yep. But now that I've been here, I've been dealing with the access control and gate operator community on a regular basis. And I'm just not taking his word for it, which at the beginning I did, but his story that he has with his company and the stuff that he says, it is in every access control, every automatic gate, every fence company that I have talked to. There's nothing unique about what's going on with him that it's going on with any of these other gate companies. And it should be scary for anybody that wants to start a small business.
Well, anybody that wants that in their state, it should be scary. So that's all I know. But, but going back to what Rob was saying, he's seeing some of the big players that offer access controls and gates with understanding that that's where they carry the largest margins. I couldn't agree more.
Is that true?
Oh man, you guys, you could come in. Keep in mind, there's a lot of tech. There's a lot of experience and a lot of technology stuff you have to learn. There's a lot you have to do it, and it's a lot of liability along with the gates and warranties and things like this. But the gate operators, you could go out there and spend 2-3 weeks building fence, digging holes, blisters on your hands, sitting in the sun, a couple guys dehydrated, going to the hospital. You know what I mean? Doing fence. And you're going to make sometimes more money in 2-3 days doing the access controls than the fence company made in 2-3 weeks out there.
Oh yeah, I believe that. Definitely.
You know, on the automation side of it. So I agree. If you're thinking about a way to expand your company, learning automation and access controls, and on top of that, the recurring revenue now, and that's just now getting into it through Door King, LiftMaster. I don't know there's probably some other ones that have where you can actually maybe share some of the recurring revenue. I don't know if Door King.
Yeah, Cellgate. I'm not sure if hopefully with their new call boxes that they will. There's dozens of them out there that have reoccurring monthly revenue.
Yep.
But even if you're a smaller player, like the strategic partnerships, if you don't have the staff and the knowledge, those strategic partnerships, if the worst thing you could do is act like you know everything and you're going to figure you're going to be able to do it by yourself. If you don't know something, the best thing you can do is say, I'm a fence expert and I don't know about gates, but this guy's been doing automatic gates for 15 years and he's got his stuff together. He knows what he's doing. And that strategic partnership, you can still mark up their work and still, make money off of it. But you don't want to be doing something that you don't understand because, you're going to get in trouble. Big time. Yeah. It's better to make a couple $1,000s in markup off the guy and let him do the work because he knows what he's doing. And then maybe as your company grows, you can bring in people and you can start doing it in house and growing your knowledge and stuff like that. But you don't want to get in over your head for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think I spend my life getting in trouble, so I'm gonna bid it, and I'm gonna I think my first gate operator I ever installed was same thing with the welding. It came, I don't know if you remember the welders that came with a little those Miller welders from like Home Depot and stuff. They came with that helmet, the hood that you'd hold up, and it came with a VHS cassette. And I remember I watched that's how I learned to weld. And I think I installed my first operator by sitting out there reading the manual, calling this guy Ray from American Access Systems. He's out of business now. They sold out to, I think, Control Products. But Rob's hitting, man. I'm going to go back to the one he just did. I don't know if Susan can pull that one up before this. He's hitting all the points. You can actually, if you're out there, I've done this a ton of times since we bid the whole package. We bid we bid everything right down to, the saw cutting, the concrete, the fence, the gates, the automation controls, the access controls. I'll bring, we'll pour concrete if we have to on the sidewalks around it. We'll bid the whole thing. And, you might be bidding against some other guys that are just bidding fence. And you're got to be really competitive on just the fence, right? Because you're bidding against 2 or 3 other companies on the fence, but you might be the only guy putting the bid in on the fence, the access controls. So you bid, I think you should bid as much of it as you can. And I've gotten projects where kind of what Rob's saying, you made it up on, you could go really skinny, really tight on the fence, and you can make it up on the access controls and the automation because you're not bidding against anybody on that, on that part of it. Sometimes they can't get a bid on it all. So man, he is just hitting it on all cylinders.
No, you're right. And the thing about it is sometimes you're forced to. Sometimes they put masonry work in with the fence package, and you're forced to do that. We don't want to do masonry, but it's like I've hired masonry subcontractors and built pilasters because it was part of the job. And so I didn't say A1 Fence is going to do masonry pilasters. Heck no. I found a guy who's been doing it since, he was 10 years old, and he's got a company doing it. And, Superior Mason Walls.
About masonry for sure. Because that would be, there's different license for masonry, so we can't do masonry, but we would sub out the masonry, the walls, the pilasters. But sell the pilasters, man. I mean, you could probably go and sometimes you go get $2,000-$3,000 a pilaster. It's costing you $500. I'm not telling people to bid at that. I'm not going to tell anybody what pricing they should bid in at for the record. Okay. There is no antitrust shit going on right now. Okay. So I'm not telling you what to bid it at.
You're still going to get crap for it. You're still going to get crap. I see him right now already posting on there.
So I again don't think we should separate. I think we need to bring everybody in closer. We need to teach fence guys how to do gate operators. We need to teach gate operator guys more about the gates of the fence. And I'm a firm believer that there's power in numbers. If we can get people together on our everything from our associations to our organizations to our trade shows, everything, it's just going to make one stronger group. And we're out there trying to fight against everybody out there that's trying to overregulate us and create laws for no reason. It helps to have numbers behind you when you're doing that. When I'm having meetings with the building department on Thursday tomorrow, and having more fence companies, more gate companies, and access control companies, or whatever we want to call ourselves, together. That's how we're going to get this under control, so that we're not taken out by all the larger companies, that would like to use those to keep us, so we don't win these jobs, right? And we're afraid to bid. There's a lot of fear mongering in our industry to keep you from bidding stuff. So
there is,
we have to go and teach people that it's okay to bid it, right? Especially you're the bid helper. Yeah,
I mean, people don't need to be intimidated by because there's people that can help them with it. So that's the whole thing they got to understand, whether it's a gate operator or just commercial work in general. Like, you don't need to be intimidated. Reach out to somebody. If you have questions, like, people can answer your questions. People can help you, hold your hand, and walk you through it. That's what people got to understand, because our industry is full of people who are willing to help. And willing to help guide you and stuff. And it's like, even if you already sold the job and you feel unsure about it, and you're like, man, I'm really nervous. It's like, well, send me the plans. I'll look at them. We'll see. We'll compare notes, and whether it's a labor number or material, the material a material list or whatever, we can. There's always people out there that are willing to help you out. So.
Yeah. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
If you've got access control or gate operator questions or anything like that, I'm not the code or the law or any of those guys, but and develop just strategic partners past installers, your distributors, your manufacturers. You reach out to those guys as well too. For instance, here in Nevada, Ron Hines at SAS. I mean, he can help you, walk you through these processes.
Oh man.
And trust me, I don't know anything about Nevada. So when I'm how am I pronouncing it right? Nevada. Jeez. So anyway, it's Nevada for the rest of the world, just so everybody knows. But in Nevada, I don't know anything about the code. So if you develop a strategic partner with your distributors and some of your manufacturers, you might be able to save yourself time there, and they might be able to help you find an installer that's a strategic partner. I'm not trying to take any food off anybody else's plate. So if you're out of town, I'll help you install it.
Hey, so while we're wrapping this up, though, Isaac, tell us how people can get a hold of you if they need help getting some stuff bid.
Well, I'm all over Facebook, as you know, so people can message me on Facebook. People can call me or email me. My email is yourbidhelper@gmail.com. So it's really simple, and my phone number is 629-234-7255. So.
If I know Susan, she's going to pull it up here in a second for everybody to read.
But, I have lots of
your hand.
Look at that.
Oh,
damn.
629. So I can just dial 629.
Just dial 629. He's old school. He's old school.
Yeah, there you go.
629,
62969. He don't care. He'll answer to anything.
Morse code.
So anyway, thanks for coming on. But we have some things we want to share. There's a lot of stuff coming up. I think the next big thing that's going to be happening. Well, actually, that's after it, but. Oh yeah. See, what do we got going on here? Job fair. I was going to try to override her, but she knows better. So yeah, the job fair. This is the first ever FWA job fair. Not sure how it's going to go, but like a lot of things, we're not afraid to try anything, see if it works, right? So in Las Vegas, we're having problems getting people into our industry, like a lot of people, and we believe that it has to start with the boots on the ground and find some people that are just interested. We're going to tell them about the fence industry, see if they'd like to do it. Saturday, December 14th, if you're in Las Vegas, stop by. We've got a couple other companies that are going to be here. I know A1's already said they're going to come.
Oh, cool.
And we got a couple others. Hopefully we'll have some tables set up for people, and we're going to be doing just kind of running through some basic training on fence, see who's interested, see if they like it, and see if anybody makes it to the next day. If anyone wants one of these things in your town, reach out to Susan K. Worley, and she will help get something arranged or whatever the best of our ability in your area. Well, if you want to host one of these things at your fence company, you can find some other fence companies in your area that would be interested. Let us know. After that, what do we got going on?
Or if they're already doing something like that and can give us some advice. whether it's been successful for them or not.
Yeah. If you've done one, reach out to us. I mean, we're just trying to see if it works. I mean, I probably tried 99 things, and 89 of them didn't work. so we want to try and see if it works. If it works, we'll continue it on. Yeah. CMM, Sean, if you know CMM at all, the router machines for vinyl fencing, he's got his open house. FWA is going to be helping put this thing together with him. Friday, 10 a.m. Sean King's going to be doing some training. I wish we'll get him on here for a little bit more information. Scan that QR code if you've got this thing up. I think on some phones you can snap a picture and then touch the QR code. Someone just taught me that. You can actually screenshot it right now and then go to the photo and touch that QR code, and you can actually go to it. So that's something I just learned, because I used to always say, why would people put QR codes on a video or on an ad on your phone, right? When you're typically looking at it. Now I know why. You can screenshot it. Anyway, he'll be doing a tour and all that stuff. And then this was actually before that, though. Fence crews, man, I think a bunch of people just signed up in the last couple of days.
Oh yeah,
on this thing. So this hopefully is going to get a good group of people going. The phone number's there, and we're putting this thing all over Facebook if you haven't seen it, and LinkedIn and all that as well. Reach out, because I know this thing is going to
I'm not in there. Now I'm finally back in there.
Reach out, get a hold of Megan, and that's our kind of our cruise director. Similar to Julie, if you remember the Love Boat. I don't think she's coming on it, though. I talked to her. I don't think she's actually going to come on the cruise with us, but she is our cruise director up until the moment we leave. So go on there, get your stuff. Other than that, man, thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, what's that?
I don't get any plugs.
Oh, Brooks. We got Brooks. What are we going to plug on Brooks here? He's got his Fence University stuff going on.
Yes.
What's the one coming up in?
So Coyote Denali, if anybody is out there on any of the Facebook forums or has watched any of his great videos on YouTube, he is going to be our guest expert professor at a class that's going to be hosted at JC Gurry in La Habra, California. And that's going to be December 12th through the 14th. And this will be the first class that we've done of this nature where it will primarily be hands-on on an actual gate. So we're not going to be in the classroom showing pictures of, hey, this is how I would do it. This is how this other guy does it. You're going to get a welder in your hand, and you're going to weld onto this gate, or you're going to weld on something simulating this gate, or you're going to wire up a photo eye in class, and then we're going to go out and actually wire it out there. And we're going to be doing loops. We're going to be doing the gate operator. We're going to talk about the differences between a stand and a pad, and track, going from a pipe rail gate to track, which is horrible. They're all over Nevada, and putting a V-groove track down. And if you guys need any questions about gate operators, you can't get your distributor or manufacturer to give you some practical advice, you can always call me 214-931-2626. Text me with pictures. It's going to be one of the first things that I ask, and I'll help you out in any way that I can. And if you're in the Nevada area, if you have any problems with gate operator, access control equipment, you're more than welcome to borrow any of the test equipment that we have here at the Fence University, or any of my personal test equipment, because I don't want you guys to ever have to look foolish in front of a customer, and I don't want you guys to lose any projects. We need more people buying gate operators, more people buying access control, and not doing what I have seen so much out here: chains taken off, gates locked down. And it's not good for our business or the outlet.
That's at JC Gurry. So I'm pretty sure you can sweet talk your way with Mark and Mary into a nice tour of the factory. If you haven't seen how fence signs are made and security signs and all that, this is a good opportunity to get in there, because I'm telling you, I mean, I don't know if you saw my video where I went through and did a tour of that and did a video, and we did one of our My Fence Lives live from there. It is, and that video didn't do it justice. It was really cool. It's one of the oldest fence sign companies I think that's around. I can't back that up, by the way. I don't know, but it sure looks like it, because some of that equipment's 100 years old.
Wow, and you would know what 100 years old looks like. So yeah, fenceuniversity.com, and we're really happy to have Coyote be primary teacher on this class.
How's Jesse going to sign up?
So we will have a link active in the next couple of days. Jesse, take a look if you're on any of the Facebook forums. I'll be posting the flyer today, but you can go to fenceuniversity.com/subscribe, and that will keep you up to date of all the classes, including the online classes that we got next year.
Cool. All right, you guys. Have a good night. I know it looks like it's really late for you. What is it like? Are you outside? What's going on?
Getting abducted?
So I'm in the middle of a road trip from Nashville, Tennessee to Roseville, California.
Okay. All right.
I don't even know what state I'm in.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. We will talk to you later. All right. See you guys. Have a good one, everybody.